This is Sky Sports, a part of the British Sky Broadcasting Network.
So welcome to our review of the Italian football season. For all of us involved in working on it, it really has been an absolute delight, and we do hope that those of you who've joined us in the last few weeks, and especially those who've been with us since early September, will enjoy reliving some of the great games, the extraordinary goals, and the really unique moments that make the Italian League the most exciting in the world.
It's Matthaus! You scarcely saw it! Certainly the goalkeeper didn't. Oh, he's found the bottom corner with an efficiency that you can't credit, really. And a classic goal again for Milan. And Gullit is clear. The finish is perfect.
Scores. The Napoli crowd is stunned once again, and that was a volley of the highest class.
We're just doing the trick with Baggio here. Is it number 4? Yes, it is.
Klinsmann. Oh, that's a brilliant finish by Klinsmann.
Strappa with a great try. And Zenga, full of concentration as he needed to be, could have easily been taken by surprise.
Up now by Careca. Here's Careca striding forward, the shot for goal, and Careca has scored!
That was quite something, wasn't it? Amid all the controversy, though, and all the war dances to celebrate goals, Andy Gray, do you have any particular thoughts on the season just gone by?
I think the biggest thing that struck me about the whole season was the contrasting fortunes of two players who played different parts in the World Cup last year. I'm talking about Salvatore Schillaci and Gianluca Vialli. When you think that it was Vialli who was the golden boy when they went into the World Cup and did nothing, had a dreadful time, Schillaci took over his mantle and almost became an Italian god. And if you would have thought at the beginning of the Italian season that Schillaci was going to have such a torrid time, an absolutely nightmarish season for him, and Vialli, after missing the first 7 games, was going to step back in and almost single-handedly, but not single-handedly, almost single-handedly inspire Sampdoria to their first league title. I think you had a lot of people, John, coming up and want to take money off you, and that's one of the big memories I've got of the season.
Yes, that's right. Salvatore Schillaci, just 5 goals this season. We'll reflect on a lot more on him and on Vialli in the couple of hours ahead. We've given you a taste. The main course is to follow.
The platinum blonde with the plutonium body. She's got the mind of a woman, but the heart of a machine. Something's triggered inside her. Somebody better switch it off. Now on video, Eve of Destruction from Guild.
For the first time, Great Britain is to stage one of the world's largest and most prestigious sporting events. The 16th Universiade, the World Student Games, only on Sky Sports. The future of sport.
Now, we're going to be talking about various teams during the course of the evening, but few can match the lineup that we've been able to parade here on Sky Sports during the Italian season. And for sheer expertise, you'll be hard-pressed to match that lot. And we do hope that you've learnt a lot from them as the weeks have gone by with their insights into the intricacies of the game. But the first big weekend of the season came at the end of October, and this was the position at the top of the table then, as Juventus went out to face Inter and Milan prepared to entertain Sampdoria. Now, Sampdoria's performance in the San Siro was the first real indication that this could be their season. European champions Milan had looked impressive in their unbeaten start to the campaign, but Sampdoria produced a superb display to bring them a crucial and well-deserved victory.
Oh, Cerezo! He scored! And the plan is really being put into operation perfectly by Sampdoria. They have picked up a goal.
Well, this is a blow, isn't it? But it's a very, very good move, and Cerezo only really half hits it, and I do feel Pizzaglia will be disappointed he hasn't stopped it. But what a blow for Milan. This is a real test of their character now. And what a boost for Sampdoria.
Cerezo's goal then giving Sampdoria a 1-0 win. On the same day, Juventus met Inter in Turin, and they produced some game full of goals. Commentators Jock Brown and Trevor Francis.
Artistini with the clearance. Here's Matthaus showing too much of that to Hessler. Matthaus recovers with that block. Played forward over is it on goal Schillaci, and the referee has given a penalty kick in the opening minute of the match. Juventus have the perfect opportunity to go ahead.
Well, as the ball's played into Schillaci, he just knocks it past Burgundy, and there he is, he's late with his challenge, and undoubtedly it's a penalty.
So Baggio against Zenga. It's beautifully finished by Baggio. He looks so full of confidence for these penalty kicks. And the stadium here coming to life for Baggio. So corner kick to Juventus. Clear-cut headed opportunity, and Juventus go 2 ahead. The header from Caseraghi. His first goal in the championship this season. Well, he scored 2 magnificent goals against Austria Vienna in midweek, and the Juventus celebrations continue, and a lot of question marks here about the Inter marking.
Well, as you see, it's a great way here to lose your marker. He takes Ferry in, then peels off around the back, and that's a good downward header into the corner, giving the keeper no chance. But it's a good example of how to lose your marker in the penalty box.
The same ploy appears to be considered by Inter. Here's Matthaus. That's a great goal from Matthaus. Tacconi is beaten and Inter are back in the match.
Well, you see Matthaus here, he picks his spot, curls the ball with the inside of his right foot and beats Tacconi. That's a great goal.
And they're pressing hard now for an equaliser. And there would surely be a major inquest if one was scored in the 4th minute of extra time at the end of the first half. There's the deflection and a magnificent save from Tacconi. While he was cut out by Matthaus for Inter's goal, that was a top quality save. And Andreas Bremer almost getting the benefit of a deflection. Baggio flooding it in. Here's Hessler. Played in by D'Agostini. Set up for Baggio. It's off the post. And Juventus scrambled home. Celebrations go on, and Juventus have got that vital 3rd goal. Schillaci breaks his lead.
Well, it certainly had to come, and Baggio plays an instrumental part in it. Beats Zenga there with a great shot. And Schillaci off balance, but he still manages to get the shot in.
Inter known as the Nerazzurri. Back in blues. Caseraghi must be reflecting that with some of the damage in his legs. And Baggio is great play. Superb goal once again from Juventus. D'Agostini appeared in the box to cash in on the magic of Baggio. There's almost an open header there for Serena. Well, how did that stay out? Would have made an enormous difference to Inter had that gone in. Serena not picked up the most dangerous player of all in the box.
Comes in and marked, as you say, a good header, and I think it's Carini on the line who stops it this time, not with his hand, but I think it's with his knee.
Well, there have been clear signs that Trapattoni is going quietly berserk on the bench, watching his defence perform. But here's Matthaus coming forward. Now Klinsmann. Oh, that's a brilliant finish by Klinsmann. By Ferry, clearly unhappy about that. But the West German connection pays off for Inter.
4-2 to Juventus. 3 weeks later, Inter met Milan in the San Siro. And with both sides clearly going to be title contenders, it was a vital encounter settled by a single goal.
Klinsmann. Oh, and it very nearly ran through for Bianchi. Wouldn't be exactly the player Inter would choose to get into a position to nick a goal, really. They'd hope a chance might come the way of Klinsmann or Berti or Serena or, of course, Matthaus. Klinsmann, it's a good turn. And he's got it back across, and it is Berti! Nicola Berti! With 7 minutes left. Smash and grab.
Klinsmann does exceptionally well. Baresi gets too tight to him and he allows him to turn. Great cross. And there's Berti turning up in the box. That's the 3rd time he's turned up in the box in the whole game. I suppose it's third time lucky. A fine header and puts into 1-0 touch. Very difficult task now for Milan. They've already brought on Beppe Parisi Inter to tighten up the Inter back division. Now it's going to be a very difficult task for them to break them down.
1-0 to Inter. On the same afternoon, Sampdoria travelled to the troubled champions Napoli and gave them an astonishing beating. Gary Lineker, Jock Brown.
Careca once again. Mancini has dropped back to help in defence for Sampdoria. Facing Careca now. And the cross attempted there by Ferrara. So Napoli throwing defensive players forward here to keep the pressure on the Sampdoria defence. Well, that tells its own story. 5 corner kicks to Napoli against 1 for Sampdoria. Maradona will take this one. Swerving out, swinging at the chance. Incocciati. Napoli are ahead. And Incocciati takes off his shirt to hand that to the fans behind the goal. With a brilliant set-piece corner kick from Napoli. And a goal which they richly deserve.
There looks to be relief on the faces more than joy. It was a good set-piece move, and it had to come, didn't it? They were applying so much pressure. It just had to pay off. Good flick, and an easy job at the far post.
And the part played here by Careca is significant too, as Maradona picks him out with that near post outswinger. There's Careca, unmarked, nowhere on the far post. Then Incocciati diving in to put Napoli ahead.
Glad to see he's put his shirt back on. He would have struggled to play without it.
Well, that's undoubtedly the goal which Albertino Bijon was waiting for, richly deserved. Sampdoria now have a chance to equalise, and it's Vialli. Sampdoria are back in level terms. It's a disaster in the Napoli defence. Vialli coming back. He scored last week and he's come back. He's scored again this afternoon, and Sampdoria are right back in the match.
Well, would you believe it? What a blow that must be to Napoli. I think the defender just slipped completely. He seemed to have it under control. And he sort of dived under it, but Vialli's done what's necessary. That's what a good striker does. He waits. He's probably not had a chance all afternoon, and when it comes along, he makes sure he hits the target.
With Venturin finding it away from Katanec. Creeper heads it in. It came off Lombardo. Appeals for a penalty kick. Waved aside by referee Magni. But it certainly appeared to strike Lombardo around the left arm. Creeper looks aggrieved.
He headed it very close to him, though. I mean, if he did it with any intent, it would have been very quick reactions.
There's Ferrara brought down again by Party. Well, Ferrara, well-known, accomplished defender, but showing a lot of skill coming forward. Here's Maradona again with a set piece. Party, number 4, organising his teammates in defence. An easy one for Belluca. Very accomplished young goalkeeper, just 23 years old. Only missed 1 game in the last 2 seasons for Sampdoria. Chance to make a late surge on the Napoli goal. Here's Lombardo. Vialli trying to make room for a cross. No gap there for Vialli. Now he has a chance to send the ball over. And they're in defence once again. There's a header, and it's a goal for Sampdoria. Mancini has scored. And that is quite incredible. A disaster in defence again for Napoli. Corradini this time was the player caught out. And Mancini continues his excellent scoring run. There was the error.
Well, Vialli did very well. He worked hard, got a good cross in, and Mancini was there just to nod it home. The marking was a bit slack, but I mean, They must be very disappointed now to be going in losing. They've dominated the whole half. Sampdoria seem only to have had 2 attacks, and they've got 2 goals.
So there's Mancini's goal, and that will have a stunning effect, I fancy, on Napoli. So composed, Mancini. He's allowed to come a long way forward. Lombardo racing forward. Vialli waits in the middle. Cleared there, straight to Makalichenko. Here's Vialli. Oh yes, Vialli scores. The Napoli crowd is stunned once again, and that was a volley of the highest class.
Certainly was, Jock. That was a tremendous finish. The ball came right over his shoulder, and he hit it in with venomous power into the top corner with his left foot. I mean, this is a very difficult ball to hit because it's not just over, it's a really high one. And I tell you, 9 times out of 10 he wouldn't have hit the target with that one. But it's Sampdoria's day, so it's gone in the top corner.
And if you look at Galli here in the Napoli goal, he's rooted to the spot when Vialli lets fly with this one. Scarcely a move from the goalkeeper. There's Lombardo. He is very quick on the right for Sampdoria. Still Lombardo coming forward. Here's Mancini. And it's a 4th for Sampdoria, and a magnificent strike from Mancini. Well, not only are the goals come out of the blue, but they've been of the highest quality.
What a fabulous goal this was again. It's amazing. Lombardo's had a good game all day down that right, crossed a great ball, and Mancini's hit. I mean, it's nearly as good as Vialli's earlier on, another difficult volley to hit. Now, they are 2 goals of the highest quality.
Well, here was Mancini. The ball extremely difficult to take, and Giovanni Galli in goal has hardly been able to make a save in the match. The final whistle has gone. Sampdoria have won by the remarkable score of 4-1, despite some outstanding play by Napoli.
An astonishing win for Sampdoria, but Inter too were in great form, matching them shot for shot, as they showed when they travelled to Cesena at the beginning of December.
Bianchi won it well, taken on here by Pizzi. It's his cross. It's Serena going for it. It's Klinsmann. The goal is given. Cesena feel there might have been a foul on the goalkeeper. Jurgen Klinsmann for Inter. 4 minutes gone. In from Pizzi. This is the key moment in my mind. Serena going for the ball. Klinsmann puts it in, no questions asked. And now, is it a penalty? It is. And this time it's Inter's turn to look questioningly at the referee. And a lifeline for Cesena, Carlo Longhi. Mandolini came across, and the ball was touched forward by Del Bianco, and a chance for Cesena. A great chance to draw level. Ciocci makes no mistake. His 7th goal of the season. I should mention that Klinsmann now has 6. And he's earned Inter a free kick. He does take some battering. We've criticised him quite a lot this season for his diving and his antics. But he gets taken out of the play by some rugged defenders. Now the outcome of these discussions, we will soon learn. It's Matthaus! Oh, you scarcely saw it! Certainly the goalkeeper didn't. A fantastic free kick by Lothar Matthaus. And I'm I'm amazed that the net stopped it. It was like a shell, and it exploded past Cesena.
Well, it was certainly clear from the first minute that Matthaus was in great form today, and that's an absolute magnificent goal.
Great ball by Pizzi. Oh, and it's Mandolini! From a wonderful cross by Serena, I think it was, on the far side. It was a terrific chance, and you would have expected a forward to take it.
Yes, as the ball comes across, Mandolini gets in a good position, and that's a good save by the goalkeeper. Undoubtedly, that's the best move of the game there.
Serena has struck. And Inter are sitting pretty in Cesena. Still reflecting on the previous incident, perhaps. The goalkeeper stayed on his line. Mandolini went into the near post. Serena came out behind him, angled it beautifully. This is Bianchi. Oh, and look at the space for Pizzi. Help yourself, really. Well, there were cracks in the defence before, but that was a far worse problem.
Well, I can't believe what I'm seeing. I've never seen so much space in a first division match in Italy. Pizzi here, thank you very much.
And Pizzi able to just pick his spot, and in the end he just hammered it past the exposed Fontana. Gilain, Bianchi, Pizzi. Have they got time to make it 5? Well, they've got another free kick.
Well, with a few seconds left, will we see another Matthaus blockbuster?
He's striding across there, and I don't think he needs to worry too much about the rest of the team at this stage. Time for a little bit of self-indulgence, and for maybe a last thrill for us. Not too many volunteers to go in the Cesena wall. Possibly the last kick of the game. Matthaus takes it, the ball's in the net. It was certainly touched along the way. Matthaus accepts the congratulations. And let's just see who deflected it. Serena was going in there, and a defender as well.
Well, I'm going to punt for Barcella as an own goal.
Indeed it was Barcella, 5-1 to Inter, a performance they rarely bettered all season. Well, the title was developing now into a 4-horse race, and on the last weekend of the year, as luck would have it, the top 4 met. First, it was Milan against Juventus in the San Siro, commentators Trevor Francis and Martin Tyler.
Oh, and Taccone's come a long way. Gullit hits it towards a goal that wasn't exactly open, but lacked a goalkeeper. And didn't hit it with any power. There's a trip now by Marocchi on Tassotti. Taccone came, but certainly didn't conquer.
No, in fact, it was bad keeping by Taccone. He decided to come, and he was never going to be there, and the ball fell loose to Gullit. And really, Gullit should have done better. That goes down as the best chance of the game, and it's a chance that he'll reflect on, that he probably should have scored. In fact, he's tried the volley there, but he could have stopped the ball and then taken it more comfortably. Of course, the volley is the most difficult skill in the game.
Just over 5 minutes to go to half-time. A Milan corner. Angelo Carboni to take it. Oh, and it's blocked on the line from Costa Curta. Taccone went down for it, but couldn't make it his. Carboni again. Well, hard to make chances in free play, but corners will always, if they work well, have some percentage. Costa Curta unmarked, bounced beyond Tacconi, and there was cover on the line. And a good start for Donadoni to the second period to dispossess Bonetti. But initially, it seems, Donadoni will continue to operate as a midfield player wide on the left-hand side, which is something of a sacrifice of his skills. Massaro trying to propel the ball into the heart of the Juventus penalty area. And that's Ancelotti! Wow! Inside the first minute of the second half. And a volley, top class, top corner. Well, that's the second look, and they can go on showing it as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it was a great long throw-in from Massaro. You see Rijkaard in the penalty box challenging there, and it breaks to Ancelotti, and that's an absolute stunning volley.
Tassotti. Carini for Juventus. Baggio, even on that treacly pitch, able to change direction and take the ball with him until he was fouled, or until he was looking for the foul, shall we say.
Yes, I was going to say that's a sign of a great player, when you can beat 2 or 3 players in such a tight area. His close control was immaculate, even on this terrible surface. He really is a great player, Baggio.
Rijkaard, pull it to the right. And now making the angle. Beautiful pass. And a classic goal again for Milan. Within 10 minutes of the second half, it's going their way with a vengeance. And Rijkaard emerging from the shadows to provide the pass of the game. And Gullit read it, converted it, 2-0.
Another terrific goal. Everything right about this goal. A great pass from Rijkaard. Terrific running off the ball from Gullit.
Gullit in prime form as Milan ended the year in style. Sampdoria and Inter, meanwhile, were fighting it out in Genoa. This was to be the first of 2 epic meetings which went a long way to deciding the outcome of the 1991 title.
Sampdoria kicking off with Katanec rolling the ball back in defence straight away. All the way back to goalkeeper Pagliuca. A cloudy afternoon, with a reasonable temperature as the ball's thrust up the middle straight away, and a first-class shot there from Vialli, and it's a goal. An incredible start for Sampdoria. Just about 30 seconds on the clock, and Internazionale caught asleep at the start. And Gianluca Vialli, the scorer, his 5th of the season, making a point surely to the Italian selectors who'd left him out of the side for last Wednesday's match against Cyprus. The ball here just thrust out of the goalkeeper's hands and bouncing on into perhaps complaining about pushing, but Vialli's finishing superb across the goal, and Zenga well beaten. Andy.
This is quite an amazing start in this game, and it's a goal right out of the Wimbledon school of football, isn't it? From one end to the other. But Vialli shows great strength to shrug off Bergomi and slice it straight into the corner. What a start for Sampdoria, and what is a tremendously important day in their league this year. They really must get a result today and couldn't have wished for a better start. And as you said quite rightly, Vialli making his point right away.
A fine overhead kick there, obviously confidence at a very high level as Lombardo swings his boot at that one, but doesn't make a complete connection, and out it goes. Well, it's not often you see a goal as early as this one in football anywhere in the world. In Italy, least of all, I would have thought. Nice clean header, and another beautiful shot, winging in from the edge of the box, and a good save by Zenga too. Tell you, at the moment, Vialli must fancy himself, and he really cracked that one. Good shot, good save. Bigomi bringing his experience to this situation. Nicely headed on by Battistini. Klinsmann. Oh, good shot, and just enough from Pagliuca. Just enough. He couldn't have seen that ball for much of its travel, and he got his fingertips to it. And Clint, so fine. I think that the referee was fooled and has given a goal kick.
Yes, I think he was, Graham. It's a fine move, and Inter-Arse pressing the way back in. Klinsmann, it's a good effort on goal, and Pagliuca just gets a touch to it, but so fine was the touch that even the referee didn't see it.
That's right, but it was fundamental, wasn't it? Good piece of control there by Serena, bringing it back for Klinsmann too. But Klinsmann really cracked this through the defender's legs, and that was heading bottom corner. At the moment, Sampdoria looking like a side smacking for Mikhailo Chenko, perhaps a little casual with a shot, but he'll have another go at it. Down he goes in the area, pushed over. He seems to think so anyway. A lot of the fans agree with him. Oh, and that was an elbow in the face by Mikhailo Chenko as they ran back there, hitting Bergami. Well, there's the incident itself. Down goes Mikhailo Chenko, and the Inter players are complaining about that incident off the ball. Mikhailo Chenko's got himself out of the way. It's red. That's it. The Russian international gets the early bar. Andy.
Well, that's a huge blow for Sampdoria. And one act of foolishness from Mikhailo Chenko at a time when his team had got the goal that they so desperately needed, had been playing so well, and we see this act of folly when he's coming out. Absolutely no need for it. The ball's away. A man of his experience. I mean, you can see Bergami and him are having a little bit of a chat with each other about the penalty incident, I'm sure, and that's sheer folly. You can't hope to get away with something like that. Well, when you looked at the tables and you look at Inter's record this year, Graham, it is an impressive one in the goal-scoring stakes. They've scored 27 goals already in Serie A and are the top goal scorers. So Sampdoria will have that in the back of their minds and possibly thinking that they may need another goal if they are going to win this game.
Mancini there, caught by Bremer. Seems to me that Matthaus is beginning to take the ball further and further back in the side, actually. And a few moments ago, as Andy was speaking there, completely mishit a ball. Anyway, this is Bremer. Good header on. Oh, and a great header in close range from Bertini. That's the rebound. 1-1. 50 minutes gone on the clock, and Nicola Berti, with only his second goal of the season, and the other one was equally important. It was in the Milan local derby. The first header brilliantly saved by Pagliuca, and Berti lucky to get the rebound, but give him his due, hammering it in from a narrow angle off his weaker foot.
Well, this is certainly made in Germany, isn't it? It's a tremendous cross from Bremer. Klinsmann gets up there and gets the flick on. Pagliuca gets absolutely no luck. He makes a magnificent save, but let's give credit to Nicola Berti.
Matthaus swings one in. Oh, and that was inches away. Serena's header, a beauty, right over the ball and down for the bottom corner, and it couldn't have missed by much more than a few inches.
Well, Aldo Serena is regarded as the best header of the ball, best Italian player at headering the ball in this country, and this is a magnificent chance. It's a great ball in from Matthaus. I can't fault the header at all, Graham. It's a super header down. It looks like it's heading for the bottom corner, but just shaves the outside of the post.
Mancini, Lombardo. Got a bit of space here, comes across, handball! Surely handball! In fact, he did very well to handle it. Yes, penalty given. Well, Andy, what a surprise, and in my opinion, no necessity for it.
We had said that Lombardo and Mancini can trouble him with pace, and that's what he's done. It's a magnificent cross, but I mean, no doubts about that. Pagani's just caught out. I'm sure that Vialli would have been scoring from his header, and he knows he's been caught, Paganini, and all he can think to do is stick a hand up. But what a moment for Gianluca Vialli.
Well, that is in fact the instructions going out there from Boskov.
I don't quite know what he can say with a penalty. So anything but please score. I think that's what he's trying to say.
The alternative is don't miss it, isn't it? Well, there's quite a lot of Sampdoria's season going to be determined in the next 20-30 seconds. And the man in form going to be taking it, Gianluca Vialli, out of the Italian side, but scored in the first minute of this match against the enormous figure, that's how it must look, of Walter Zenga, the Italian goalkeeper, his compatriot in so many international appearances, which must possibly give him a very slight advantage. So it's Vialli, and this for the lead. Taken, goal, 2-1. Only just, but hit with superb confidence. Zenga picked the right direction and couldn't have been far short of the ball.
Well, so composed, it's quite incredible. In a red-hot situation, Sampdoria are indeed fortunate to have someone with that composure. Zenga goes the right way, he goes early, but the penalty struck too well.
We repeat that Inter haven't lost since the middle of October, any league game. But they are into the teeth of defeat here. Vialli with a low cross. Mancini trying to make some room, he did so, but couldn't quite get the ball where he wanted it to smack in his shot. Here comes Vialli. On to Mancini, he's got an awful lot of space, 3-1! That's it! Game, set and match, I fear, for Sampdoria. And around the ground, fiesta time. Mancini's goal has surely put Internazionale out of sight in this one. And Vialli coming forward for the first time in the match, and nobody on Mancini, and Zenga realised the hopelessness of his task against finishing like that.
Well, watch this is tremendous play at the end, so late in a game that they've defended for long periods. But it's a sweeper, Vialli comes out, brilliant first touch from Mancini, but he knows exactly what he's going to do. And you're right, that's game, that's set, and that's the match. Yes.
And it was almost game, set, match and championship as we were defined as the weeks went by. And with Inter having played one game more, that was to prove hugely significant as the weeks went by. And Andy, if there's one moment perhaps in the whole championship where you could say it swung from Inter to Sampdoria, Aldo Serena missing that header may well, in hindsight, be that moment.
I think he will look back on that, John, definitely. It was a glorious chance, and at 1-1 against 10 men with a man advantage, you did feel if Inter had got ahead, then Sampdoria would have found it difficult. But what was noticeable up to then, I felt, at this particular time in the season, when you had Inter beating Milan, you had Juventus beating Inter, and you had Milan beating Juventus, but none of the top teams could quite beat Sampdoria. They were getting results against the teams at the top of the table. They were getting wins in Milan. They were beating Inter with 10 men, and none of the other contenders, the top three, were quite able to do that. And I think that was significant at that time in the year.
At the start of the programme, we were talking about transformations, Schillaci downwards and Vialli upwards. The biggest transformation in the whole season had to be the pitch at the San Siro.
It was quite incredible. That's got to be one of the 8th wonders of the world, isn't it? The way they got that pitch from what was a bog, like a ploughed field, for half the season, and it was perfect at the end of the season.
They built it bit by bit almost,
yes, they
did.
Yeah. Well, they had to, didn't they? I mean, we could see all season. We must have spent the first 6 weeks of our Italian football documenting what a state it was in. Every commentator that came in, or all the guests came in, but all we could talk about was the poor quality of the San Siro pitch. But magnificent, you have to give them credit. To do that during a season, John, it just shows you what can be done if you've got the will to do it.
We know about the influence that Vialli was to have after Christmas, but up until that period, if we'd been nominating perhaps a player of the first half of the season, we might have pinpointed Roberto Baggio, because at that stage he was playing magnificently.
Yes, he was. I mean, he was really living up to his £8.5 million transfer fee, wasn't he? When Schillaci was struggling, Baggio was coming in with the goods, not only creating goals, but also scoring goals himself and stepping up in pressure hot situations and taking penalties and sticking them away, and really was looking good for not only for Baggio but for Juventus.
Okay, well, just a final thought actually at this juncture. We're talking about a 4-horse race at that stage, but in fact, if we look at that league table just then, Parma were in there at that juncture, and we were poo-pooing their chances, but in fact, they were realistic contenders at that stage.
Yes, they were. I think we all felt that they would just drop away and just disappear into oblivion and finish maybe 10th, 11th mid-table and be more than happy with that. But as we'll see later on, Parma were to prove us all wrong.
They were, and they'll be playing in Europe next season, so well done to them. But that's in the future. For now, let's have a break.
'Cause
There is no sterner test than lining up against the West Indies. And Viv Richards wants to sign off in style. Can England return to former glories? Life in the fast lane. Unequalled highlights of the first Cornhill Test from Headingley. All 5 days from Sky Sports in association with Tetley Bitter. Starting Thursday at 8.
Grosh, please.
The sun is here and the time is right to get fit for summer. This week on Sky News Sunrise, Matt Lorenzo and Tanya Breyer will be showing you how to get in shape. A simple guide from warm-up to workout every morning. Join in the fun and take 5 easy steps to shedding a few pounds and looking good. Wake up to a better lifestyle all this week on Sky News Sunrise, 6:30 to 10:30 a.m.
One of the 4 major World Golf Tournaments is brought to you by Sky Sports, the US Open from Minnesota. Nick Faldo will begin our exclusively live coverage with a preview of the struggle ahead. Is Woosnam the one to watch, or is Faldo still boy wonder?
You can see all 4 days of the US Open live on Sky Sports.
Superlative live coverage of the US Open, only on Sky Sports.
Well, continuing our look back on Serie A, we've gone past Christmas, and as we saw, Sampdoria began the new year on top, but it didn't last long. On the 6th of January, they took on Torino at home, a match they were fully expected to win despite the Turin club's recent good run. But Sampdoria slumped to a 2-1 defeat, Bresciani scoring both goals, including this winner. But there was worse on the horizon. Just a week later, a second successive defeat, this time at lowly Lecce. Meanwhile, Parma were emerging as dark horses, and on one glorious mid-January afternoon, they took on the European champions of Milan and humbled them.
Parma had lost only once at home. That was way back on the opening day of the season when Juventus came here and won, and I'm sure Parma were tentative about just what they were taking on. But they've really come to terms with the difficulties, and more recently have been giving problems to the teams they've played against. Trying to stop Milan, taking an early grip on this game. Ozio, and it runs off Ancelotti. A goal for Parma, magnificently taken by Melli. What opportunism! No wonder he's off on a lap of honour.
My word, this was a fantastic goal. It was a great cross in, and Ancelotti unfortunately miscontrolled it. But Melli's on it like a flash, and it's a tremendous volley into the near post. Actually, in fact, it's the first time I think they've been in the Milan half, and they've opened the scoring. But what a wonderful goal.
The goal coming in the 7th minute, a flash of inspiration, a blur as it sped past Fazalier. Brolin looking very perky. And it's a corner to Parma.
Yeah, he did very well there, Brolin. He went past Parisian, attempted to get to the byline, and he did a fair cross to the near post. Unfortunately, I think it was Melli had gone to the back post. But this is a dangerous position. Brolin's very, very good in the air. He's not the tallest of guys, but he's a very talented boy in the air.
The corner to be taken by Marco Ozio. And George Grun was coming in as Fazali started to go for it and then left it to the defenders. Headed back by Minotti. And it's run all the way through for Melli. Alessandro Melli Vialli. And Milan are absolutely livid with the linesman and the referee. It's 2 for Melli. He's into the double figures. 2 for Parma. Milan were pushing out. We've seen that from them so often. And they do run the risk. Ray Wilkins.
Yes, they do. The ball's headed back there. And Baresi is the last player coming out, and he obviously felt that Melli was offside, but I didn't from this angle. And that's possibly the one time this season I've seen Milan get caught out with that, and Melli just stole round Pizzagli and stuck it in the back of the net for 2-0. Oh, on second thoughts, looking at the replay there, it does appear that Melli was offside.
In fact, that was Parma's high spot. A week later, they came down to earth with a bump against Juventus.
It's the left side of Juventus doing the trick with Baggio here. Is it number 4? Yes, it is! He picked his spot. And there really seemed to be only one outcome. Once he'd slipped away from Grun, Taffarel hadn't come out much to narrow the angle, which was something we noticed in his goalkeeping last week. He was backing away, and it gave Baggio far too much room for a player of his calibre.
5-0 to Juventus, but the touring club were flattering to deceive. In mid-February, they travelled to Sampdoria, and they came unstuck.
Here is Mancini, with a lot of space, a lot of control, and that's got to be a penalty. Absolutely no doubt about that. Once he turned here, Lupi was in trouble, and Gallia came in from behind. Tacconi tries a bit of kidology here and delays and maybe stretches the nerves for Vialli. This to give Sampdoria the lead. Yes! Tacconi went the right way, but it was right in the corner. A little smile passes across the lips of Trevor Francis.
Yes, firstly I have to agree with the referee. It was most definitely a penalty. Top marks for Vialli there, because he was put under tremendous pressure by the time wasting from Tacconi.
One last chance then for Juventus to save their season. They had to go to Inter and win, but they were outclassed by Matthaus and his cohorts, Trevor Francis and Martin Tyler.
Free kick taken by Matthaus. They've lined him up. Efficiency that you can't credit, really. He does it too often to ever call a fluke. Most players would be proud to tuck it in like that from 10 yards, but he does it from outside of the penalty area, and Inter have powered their way in front. Marvellous goal.
It's an absolute magnificent strike. Fully 25 yards, hits it with ferocious power, right in the corner, gives Tacconi absolute no chance. The number of times he hits the ball from this distance and hits the target.
Was Serena offside?
Well, he certainly was offside, but it's one of them cases when was he interfering with play?
Well, it's a game here that hasn't been cast in perhaps the usual Italian image. Strength and power have been determining factors. It's been a match of real meaning. And Batty came unattended. Tacconi realised that he wasn't going to get to the ball first and said, well, if he hits it, I've got to save it. Well, I wish I'd kept count of the number of headers at goal here, more perhaps than you'd see maybe in a dozen Italian games. into free kick that... oh, and it was a goal for Battistini in the end. And that really has given Juventus a terrible sinking feeling. After 4 minutes of the second half, Pitti took the free kick. And it was pushed onto the post by Tacconi, and an open goal for Battistini.
Well, as the cross comes over, you see it drops, I think it is to Berti at the back post, so it's a great shot with his left foot. And that's when you know you're out of luck for Juventus, because that ball could have gone anywhere.
Baggio for Di Canio. Casiraghi hovering on the right when they might well need him in the middle. And that was D'Agostini at the second attempt, and a little cameo there of the Juventus frustration. He doesn't believe it. That really confirmed, I think, for Juventus that this isn't going to be their day.
Nor their season. That was the end of their title challenge. On the same afternoon, Sampdoria, looking increasingly like champions, took on Milan in Genoa, and they gave one of their best performances of the season.
Maldini doing well in that challenge with Lombardo. There's Mancini getting in behind Maldini, forward, followed across by Barresi. That's great play by Mancini, down he goes! Maldini was the challenging player, and the penalty kick has been given. Paolo Maldini protests to the referee. Great skill here from Mancini. Look at the way he goes past Barresi, strides into the box, goes down as he's challenged by Maldini. There didn't appear to be a great deal of contact, but enough as far as the referee was concerned. Looking at it again, Maldini just brushing against Mancini. And I wonder if the Sampdoria skipper rather deceived the referee. Certainly went down very easily, much more easily than you would expect. But it's given Sampdoria the perfect opportunity. Boskov with some instructions for Dossena. It's Gianluca Vialli who'll take this penalty kick. He's been so deadly from the spot this season. Looking now for his 12th goal of the season in his 16th match after returning from injury. So Vialli against Pazzari. Oh, that's calmly taken by Vialli. Sampdoria take the lead. And there's joy all around the Luigi Ferrari Stadium. Well, in the balance of play, it's a lead which Sampdoria can scarcely be grudged. But the circumstances remain controversial. The penalty kick taken expertly by Gianluca Vialli, the ideal man for such a tense occasion. Well, Saki appears to have one of the things to say to his men at the moment, standing on the touchline, but not offering too much advice. Here's Van Basten. Certainly has plenty of quality on the field to turn this match around. Bjerkevold fouling Van Basten. Van Basten wanted to take that free kick quickly, but the referee was not going to have any of that, as Bjerkevold stays down, looking for some treatment. Well, justifying his reputation this afternoon, one of the best markers in Italian football, but a bit overzealous there on Van Basten. So Pagliuca looks as though he could use a slide rule here as he lines up the wall. Played in by Donadoni. The header, harmless one in the end. Bjerkevold was booked for that challenge on Van Basten. Here's Lombardo, faced by Barresi. Catanets through the middle. Supporting play with Mancini. That's great play by Mancini! He scored the second for Sampdoria! And the stadium comes alive once again. Brilliant play this from Lombardo initially. The dummy from Catanets. He knew that Mancini was coming forward. The first touch wasn't the best for Mancini, but look how he reacted to beat Pazzari, and that surely makes the match safe for Sampdoria.
It did indeed. 2-0 at the final whistle. Now, a fortnight later, Milan kept themselves in the title race. They had to win against bitter rivals Inter.
That's great control by Van Basten. It's deflected, goal! Milan score, Senga chases the referee. Yellow card for the Inter goalkeeper. If he carries on like this, he'll be off. This is how it happened, and it certainly took a bit of a touch along the way, but it arrowed into that bottom corner. Battistini was sticking out a foot, and Milan will feel it's a goal that they've earned, and Marco Van Basten is back.
On the same day, a significant game took place between Sampdoria and Napoli. Vialli helped Sampdoria to a 4-1 win that kept them well up with the leaders Inter and Milan. And Maradona played his last game in Italy. This was to be his last goal for Napoli.
Well, in a moment we'll say farewell formally to the man who back in September we thought would be one of the dominant forces of the season to come. Little did we know what was to befall him in the months ahead.
The Isle of Man, a place of beauty and serenity and relaxation.
And home of one of the most dangerous motorcycling events in the world.
Picturesque settings and eye-catching countryside.
The roads of the Isle of Man come alive on Sky Sports as we bring you day-by-day coverage of the Isle of Man TT races. Wednesday at 10, Sky Sports.
It's June, and the world's top tennis players are packing their bags for England. Sky Sports will be with them all the way to Wimbledon. At Beckenham as they fire the opening shots. Queens with Stella Artois as the pace quickens, and Manchester for the finishing touches. Then it's on to Wimbledon, the world's premier tournament. The hardest, the fastest, the one they all want to win. Be as prepared as the players. Sky Sports, the complete Wimbledon coverage.
Now, back in April, the end of one of the great footballing careers of modern times was effectively confirmed when the world governing bodies of the game announced a 15-month ban on Diego Maradona for taking cocaine. For all his play acting and his childish petulance, at his best, he was simply the best, dazzling and bewitching opponents and fans alike. One of the ultimate flawed geniuses of football, you might say, but you could never take your eyes off him.
old time. I said I'm free, do what I want, any old time. I say love me, hold me, love me, hold me, 'cause I'm free, do what I want, any old time. And I'm free to be who I choose, any old time. I say love me, hold me, love me, hold me, 'cause I'm free.
Well, he was free to do what he wanted, wasn't he? And he did, and in the end he self-destructed.
He did, John, but I hope through time, those last couple of little clips we've seen of him, of his magnificent ability, will be the things that we remember him for. But he definitely contributed to it. I think we have to be fair. I don't think you or I or anyone watching tonight can envisage the pressures that he was under playing there and playing as the best footballer in the world. It must have been quite unbelievable. But in saying that, he was getting paid a huge sum of money to do that and to cope with these pressures. It's sad that he couldn't cope with them, but that's the way it was. It's just a pity he didn't go out on a high rather than a low.
Perhaps one of the most revealing pictures in that little package there was the slimline Maradona only a couple of years ago.
Well, I don't even know if it was that long ago. I mean, I think at the end of last season we were remarking about how slim he looked and how fit he looked in the build-up to the World Cup, and it really is only after the World Cup when Argentina took a tremendous amount of stick in Italy about the way they played, and Maradona took a lot of stick outside of Naples about his antics, that he came back and at the beginning of this season has looked anything but fit. And I think you and I have sat and watched him week in, week out, and it was obvious from almost week one that he wasn't tuned in, he wasn't committed, he wasn't keen.
You're talking about the pressures that Maradona was under, and we know what happened to him. Of course, as he leaves the stage,
that's right,
exit or enter stage left, Paul Gascoigne.
Yes, I think you're right, and Paul, I don't think, he will think he's been under pressure in this country, but he can't imagine at all. I think Graham Souness said a couple of weeks ago when we interviewed him that you can multiply that by 10, and that's something like the pressures that Paul Gascoigne is going to be under. I just hope and pray, for everyone's sake, but especially Paul's, that he can cope with the pressures, and we remember him purely for his footballing ability.
Okay, Andy. Well, in our next segment, we're going to go back to the race for the league title, and we'll see Sampdoria edge ever nearer to their first championship in their history.
Tennis, and the grass court season begins. Beckenham. 3 days of top-class action in association with Direct Line Insurance, beginning Thursday at 1:30 on Sky Sports Live.
If you build it, he will come.
For anyone with a dream.
If you really feel you should do this,
Of the incredible.
then you should do it.
The impossible. The unbelievable.
Are you a ghost?
Believe.
Is this heaven? No. It's Iowa.
Kevin Costner, Amy Madigan, Burt Lancaster, Ray Liotta and James Earl Jones. Field of Dreams.
It's the place dreams come true.
On Sky Movies Plus.
One of the world's 4 major golf tournaments, the US Open, will be exclusively live soon on Sky Sports.
Sky Sports got all the angles.
So back we go to the 5th of May, which feels like years ago already. Can it really be just less than a month? Anyway, the biggest game of the season so far, Sampdoria 3 points clear. Their opponents, Inter Milan, not quite winner-take-all, but very nearly.
Here's Paganin. Again, Serena got there, and the second time, it's a great header, Klinsmann! Well, as Jurgen Klinsmann launched himself then, it did look as though Inter were going to grab the first goal. It was an attack in which Aldo Serena twice played a part. This was the second header. And how close did Klinsmann come? Very, very close indeed. Berti, one of the best at arriving late on the scene from midfield in the Italian game. He's well forward at the moment, and he's brought down by a protesting Cerezo, who gets the yellow card. Now what will occur at the free kick? That's the bigger worry to Sampdoria. Trapattoni trying to get a point across in time. Stringara has his back to the goal. Oh, brilliantly saved by Pagliuca. Bremer was the decoy. Matthaus was the man. This was the free kick. Hit with all the might of the right foot of Lothar Matthaus, and Pagliuca flung himself across. And we've seen goalkeepers outpowered so often by Matthaus. Sampdoria, for the most part, forced to defend, but doing that tidily enough. But not at the moment, because they've given a lot of room to Paolo Stringara. Berti. And once more, Nicola Berti's thespian tendencies go against Inter. And he's almost in tears in his complaints to the referee that he was the injured party here. Ten minutes to go to half-time. And Sampdoria are coping in the San Siro Stadium. But here's Bremer. Oh, it's got to Berti! And again Pagliuca going to the left as he had to from the Matthaus free kick. Kept it out. But Sampdoria were vulnerable then. Really, it was a mishit cross from Bremer in the first place. Sampdoria drawing all their teamwork and their shape of play that's been so well defined, but it isn't defined now because Klinsmann has broken clear, and there's bedlam here because the linesman had his flag up. The spectators, and I must say the commentator, had eyes for Jurgen Klinsmann and what he was going to do with the chance. Trevor.
Well, you can see quite clearly that was a terrible decision by the linesman. I would think the most relieved man on the field at this moment would be Vialli, because he lost possession, but quite clearly Pellegrini was playing Klinsmann onside. Clearly 2 yards he was onside. A bad decision by the linesman.
Matthaus. Brought out by Dossena this time. Inter have to be careful. Sampdoria haven't been over bashful in the number of players that they've got forward when they have counter-attacked, but those moments have been pretty rare. But Lombardo has played superbly on the far side, and now it's anger because Inter feel that Mancini was trying to win a penalty there by diving. Hot-blooded, hot-tempered. Hard to handle for a referee. And Pietro Delia, has he seen something serious here? It's a red card for Bergami and for Mancini. It was too hot for the referee. It's 10 aside. Well, we wondered whether Mancini would start the game. We now know that he's not going to finish it. And Inter lose their captain in stoppage time at the end of the first half. Bremer. One well by Berti. Can he go on here? Mancini made sure that he couldn't. And there's no doubt that Berti was fouled that time, and there was no attempt to cheat the referee. It's a booking for Mancini. Look at that.
Yes, quite clearly a foul there on Berti. Encouraging for Inter to see Berti making these surging runs from midfield. And they've certainly taken up from where they left off in the first half. Inter undoubtedly the best team in the first half. In the opening few minutes in the second half, they're certainly in determined mood to score a goal.
And Sampdoria's policy of containment surely even more likely to continue with the departure of Mancini. Bremer to Matthaus, and the goalkeeper was lucky. It came straight out to Bjerkevod. The danger not over yet.
Offside.
Again, even though you know what's coming, dealing with it is altogether a different matter.
You do feel that Sampdoria at the moment are just hanging on in there. I'm just wondering if Boscov's got one or two alternatives up his sleeve from the substitutes bench. He certainly needs to give something else to the Sampdoria team, who are in desperate trouble at the moment.
They can't stem the flow. Matthaus. That's Berti. Stringara. Klinsmann. And a very relieved Pellegrini getting it out of play. Bremer realising the need to try and take the throw quickly and stop Sampdoria getting some air into their lungs. But Inter are actually struggling to get players there to receive the ball. Stringara. Matthaus had to reposition. Stringara again. Berti gets it back. This time, Bianchi. Oh, the goal was there for the taking. The goal that Inter at this stage richly deserve. It was beautifully set up between Serena and Berti. Out came Pagliuca and did well. You couldn't say the same about Bianchi, although he had to take it very quickly.
Well, that must go down as a double miss for Inter there. First Berti and then Bianchi. But give credit to Pellegrini, because when Serena played the 1-2 with Berti, it was a tremendous tackle by Pellegrini to thwart Berti.
Nowhere in the world will you see club football played at this intensity. Berti. A crowd of 80,000 plus, most of them desperate for Inter to get a goal here. And Boskov, who will be 60 years old next Thursday. How has he stood the strain all these years in so many high-profile jobs? Matthaus. Bremer just a little slow for once to anticipate his friend and fellow countryman.
Well, I'm sure that Boskov there is thinking about doing something to try and ease the pressure. He was talking there to young Bonetti, a left-sided player.
They're defending so deep, Sampdoria, that players like Stringara, who's wrong-footed here, they have been having the run of midfield, but Vialli, with Cerezo making a good run, and Dossena is there as well! Would you believe it? 15 minutes into the second half. The first shot in anger. Beppe Dossena. His first goal in the league this season, and what a time to get it. What a way to get it.
Sampdoria can see the championship here. They've been pinned in their own penalty area, and then within seconds they're a goal in front, and what a goal. Vialli made all the running, and Beppe Dossena did all the scoring. Berti. They're winning a lot of headers, Inter, but they're losing the match. And if they do that, in everything but the mathematical sense, they will lose the championship. Vialli has got it through to this pacey player, Lombardo. There's no exaggeration to say that he had the title there. Surely Inter wouldn't have come back to win the match from being 2 goals adrift. And once Lombardo had got free of Bremer's attentions, he looked up, looked to where he wanted to plant the ball, but he couldn't do it. Klinsmann. Oh, and Sampdoria got too many players in there. Berti. Delia, what's he going to make of this? Berti believes he's got a penalty. And I think he has. Sampdoria before that had so many opportunities really to clear their lines, and they got in each other's way. And then Berti picked it up just inside the penalty area. Cerezo stepped across him. Lothar Matthaus has planted the ball on the spot. Drama upon drama. Here comes Matthaus. Oh, and he saved it! And Matthaus, as the ball rolled fractionally free, got to it, but could only get it wide. Well, surely you won't bet against Sampdoria now. Pizzi, who's naturally left-footed. He really is an attacking midfield player. Bremer takes the free kick. Oh, and Matthaus is the loser again. As Bremer whipped it in. Here's Dossena. Lombardo is round the goalkeeper. It's hit the post. Vialli still waiting in the middle. Here he is, and it's off the line. In years to come, people will be saying, I was here, I was at that game. So much that will live long in the memory. And this will haunt Lombardo and Vialli if Sampdoria don't win the championship. 15 minutes to go. It stays at 1-0. How? Well, the incident there really needs no additional comment from me. Grown men, hardened football watchers, are scarcely able to turn their eyes to this, and surely it's 2 this time. It is! The somersault of celebration from Gianluca Vialli. Zenga says it must have been offside. The linesman says no. And they're up and running off the Sampdoria bench. How did he stay calm enough in this cacophony here in the stadium? But Vialli did. His 18th goal of the season. Well, not even a full season for him.
But that was the game of the season. 2-0 to Sampdoria, who needed just 3 points from the last 3 games to clinch the title. 1 point came a week later in Torino, courtesy of Invernizzi. And a week later, the match that all Sampdoria had been waiting for, at home to Lecce. A win would give them the title in front of a full house. Sampdoria produced one of their best performances with 3 stunning goals to bring them the championship they so richly deserved.
It's a fine cross towards Vialli from Lombardo. That's Cerezo with the shot! What a start! Inside 2 minutes, and the party has begun.
Well, I said it was going to be a long, hard day for Lecce, but I thought they might put up a little bit more resistance than this. But this is a super strike from Cerezo. Really gives Zunico no chance at all. And now, as you're quite right, the party really has begun for Sampdoria.
Sena takes the corner. Zunico saw it a little late. Perfect for the party. He just took a chance on it. And on this day of all days, the gamble paid off. Here's Lombardo trying to improve even further Sampdoria's spirits here. Oh, and it's rucked away by the player of the year perhaps in Italy, Gianluca Vialli. It is 3-0 and Lecce's gloom deepens.
Well, they're all over the place, Lecce here trying to defend, but look at that lovely little guided header from Lombardo. Lecce nowhere. Vialli spins. Not the proper volley, but what a magnificent strike. It's fitting that that man should be scoring today and joining this wonderful occasion.
His 19th of a very special season, even by his high standards. And everyone here, I think including Andy Gray and myself, is waiting for the final whistle, and here it is. Sampdoria's greatest day is complete. They are champions of Italy for the first time. The goals here from Cerezo, from Mancini and from Vialli in the manner of champions. And Bosco takes it all in his stride. Never before have they finished higher than 4th, and they have acquired in recent seasons something of a reputation as a nearly club. Good enough to win cups, but rather blowing up in the finishing straight of races for the league title. But they've stayed the course this time.
They stayed the course and they won the league for the very first time in their history, and that of course puts them into the Champions Cup in Europe next year. Milan are banned because of their incidents during the competition this season, which means that the teams will be playing in the UEFA Cup next year are Inter, Genoa, Torino and Parma. And whatever happens in the second leg of the Cup, Roma are 3-1 up from the first leg against Sampdoria. They will be playing in the European Cup Winners' Cup next season because obviously Sampdoria are in the Champions Cup. Down at the foot, farewell to Lecce, Pisa, Cesena and Bologna, but perhaps a special credit to Cagliari, who it did seem at Christmas hadn't got the faintest hope of still being in Serie A next season, but managed to string together a tremendous run of results in the last few weeks to ensure their safety. And if we look at the leading goal scorers, you won't be remotely surprised to see who's on top. And I think perhaps special credit to Thomas Scuravi of Genoa, because his 15 goals included not one penalty, which is no mean achievement in Italy. But mention of the man on top there, Gianluca Vialli, just a phenomenal season.
Unbelievable, John. I think if Sampdoria ever thought about selling him, I'm sure he'd smash the 8.5 million that Juventus paid for Roberto Baggio. I think that's how highly he's rated over there.
What are his special skills there?
He's got magnificent ability. I think that's been blatantly obvious all season, but what I like about him, he's not one of these superstars that just relies on his ability alone and just stands up there and says, well, I'm here if you want me. I think we've all noticed that he's been in defence, he works tremendously hard for his team, probably works as hard as any player on the pitch, and to do that, coupled with the ability he's got, I think that's quite unique.
And it's obviously very hard to say that because it's pictures, but he always comes across as a genuinely nice bloke.
Yes, he does. I think Graham Souness is a very good friend of his, and Graham has said many times throughout the season what a nice lad he is. A real, genuine, honest-to-goodness good lad. There are not many of them around, but I think he's definitely one of them.
Well, I mean, it goes without saying, Vialli has undoubtedly been the player of the season in Italy. When you consider how many of the opening games he missed, his influence on the destination of the title was simply extraordinary. It's not just this season that he's been turning it on for Sampdoria, as you saw there over the past 2 or 3 years. His finishing has been simply immense. And mentioning he's a nice bloke, the mere fact that he dyed his hair blonde for the last game of the season is perhaps an indication of, well, that he has the right attitude to the game.
I think it's a sign that football's not the be-all and end-all for Gianluca Vialli. I mean, he enjoys it and he's very serious about it, but he's light-hearted, and I think he's got contact with the people who watch the game, the fans. I think that's the most important thing. But it'd be unfair, I think, to mention him without mentioning Roberto Mancini as well, John. I think his contribution was immense this year, and I'm sure Gianluca Vialli would be the first to say so.
Okay, Andy, well, we have a few reflections on the season, not all of them terribly serious, to come after this last break.
It's June, and the world's top tennis players are packing their bags for England. Sky Sports will be with them all the way to Wimbledon. At Beckenham as they fire the opening shots. Queens with Stella Artois as the pace quickens, and Manchester for the finishing touches. Then it's on to Wimbledon, the world's premier tournament. The hardest, the fastest, the one they all want to win. Be as prepared as the players. Sky Sports, the complete Wimbledon coverage.
Wednesday on V.
The visitors call him the Exterminator.
There's a new threat to the rebels' cause.
You look like you could kill me, Sean.
That's one of the tests. Many have done it.
A force stronger than human loyalty.
I'm still gonna get my kid back. You in or out?
All right, I'll help you. You go in my way.
A battle of strength and wits.
If you see Donovan, tell him that when I go fishing, I eat what I catch.
V, Wednesday at 8 on Sky 1.
There's a new kid on the block, blasting out of the sky. Come on, come on. Look in your ears, but not to mention your eyes. Come on. It's hip, and it's hot, and it won't distort. Come on. The name, my friends, is simply Sky Sports.
We're young, we're lean, a sports machine. You got the notion, we got the notion.
This is Sky Sports. The sky's the limit. The sky's the limit.
For the first time, Great Britain is to stage one of the world's largest and most prestigious sporting events. The 16th Universiade, the World Student Games, only on Sky Sports. The future of sport.
I think one of the most gratifying, perhaps surprising aspects of our Italian season for us here was our goal of the season competition. We expected a fairly hefty response, but not what we got. Thousands upon thousands of you entered to win a very prized possession of Lothar Matthaus' Inter Milan shirt. Now, you may well have seen these before, but I'm sure you won't mind seeing them again. We actually offered you a dozen opportunities to try and pick the best, the second best and the third best. It was by no means an easy task, but at the end of it, we decided that the third best goal came from Jurgen Klinsmann of Inter Milan. This volley just on the edge of the 6-yard box. Second place, Alessandro Melli. He's Milan bound. We'll be talking a bit more about that in a second or two. And this was the winner, Roberto Mancini, who Andy was talking about in such eulogising terms.
Here's Mancini. And it's a fourth for Sampdoria, and a magnificent strike from Mancini.
So amongst those thousands of people who entered, only a very few of you put F, D and K. Among them, though, Mr. H. Morgan from Brislington in Bristol. And I sincerely hope that Lothar Matthaus' shirt has arrived there now. And maybe you've been wearing it proudly in the pub. But I hope it's still in one piece and you're showing it off to all your friends and spreading the word on our Italian football coverage for next season. Saw those three. The other 9 weren't bad at all. We're going to show you another whole batch now. But if I tell you this next 20 weren't actually even among the top 32, you'll realise the sort of entertainment we've been lucky enough to witness over the past few months. We've seen 117 goals so far on this programme. We've only been here just over an hour and a half, which isn't bad going, is it? And they were a fair selection too.
Oh, if you love to see goals, then this is a place to be, isn't it? I think that's the thing we all love to see in football. I mean, we talk about saves and other people, but we love to see the ball hitting the back of that net. And to have seen it 117 times already, wonderful. How many more have we got?
Oh, there's a few more to come at the end. Don't
good.
go away. Now, look, let's just talk money just for a moment, because we're talking serious transfer fees over there, but it's interesting to see that if we're talking about major money being spent in the summer, as we are, it's interesting to note that gate receipts in Italy this season were £170 million, or 276 billion lira. But the number of fans who went to the games went up to 10.1 million, which is an increase in nearly 2 million people on the previous year, which they're attributing to the improved facilities as a consequence of the World Cup, which maybe has got a lesson for us over here as well. If you put fans in decent facilities, they'll go and watch more often.
I think you have to give them the ingredients as well, John, and I think what that shows is that if you're prepared to pay for the best, then the punters, the people that make football, the people you need to survive, are prepared to come through the gate and watch them. They've gone for the best and they're being rewarded by a 2 million increase. That's incredible, and it's something that we should be looking at closely in this country, definitely.
Well, if we're talking about the best, I think you can't get much better than Lothar Matthaus, and he, of course, was reported a week or so ago to be saying that he was going to Real Madrid for some ludicrous sum, I can't remember what it was, £2.5 million a season, was it, or something? Anyway, but it looks now as though he's going to be staying with Inter. And talking about big money, Alessandro Melli is to leave Parma for Milan. We're not exactly sure how many millions or billions of lira that's going to be for. What do you make of Matthaus staying and Melli moving? Well,
I'm not surprised at Matthaus staying. I think still under contract for another year, John. I think Inter would have been absolutely stupid when you look back at his contribution this year to have let him go. Parma with Alessandro Melli, it's no surprise that Milan are looking for other players. I think they've been disappointed by the Dutch trio this year, and it now looks as if they're going to change that. And well, I mean, I think Alessandro Melli, I think they were short up front with Van Basten, and I think they're looking for him to go there and play.
Mind you say that, it does say here that Milan have offered contracts to their 3 Dutch players, a news item today, so they obviously intend to hang on to them, so, you know, you never know. But it is rumoured that Milan are going to try and sign Jean-Pierre Papin from Marseille for an awful lot of money. Mind you, the player says he wants to go, and both clubs deny it. Would you think that was a worthwhile man to go for?
I don't know if Bernard Tapie will be too happy with that. He's a man that said all season he wants the best, and he wants the best players, and I think Jean-Pierre Papin will be regarded as one of the best players. And I don't think Monsieur Tapie will be too happy about that.
Well, a transfer that has gone through today is Napoli signing the French international defender Laurent Blanc for about £3.5 million. And perhaps a managerial change that's worth pointing out is Alberto Bigon is leaving Napoli. He's being replaced by Claudio Ranieri, who was formerly coach of Cagliari. And that is not the only managerial change. We think we've got a merry-go-round in this country, but they really are changing horses like they're going out of style over there. And Trapattoni moves to Juventus, Vicini to Inter, Maifredi to Bologna, Sacchi. I mean, it's just, you know, never-ending, it seems.
I think they're the big 4, aren't they, at the moment? I think Maifredi has paid the penalty of having 25 million to spend at the beginning of the season. He was given less than a year, get us a title a year off, and he's paid the full price. Trapattoni, I'm not surprised he's gone back there. I think he's one of the best managers in Italy, and I think Juventus have made a good move in getting him back there. Vicini to Inter will be, I think, a change for them. I don't know whether good or bad on that one. I'm not too sure about Mr. Vicini, Senior Vicini at all. But Sacchi to international manager, I think is a good move. I've been very impressed with Sacchi.
Because?
Well, because of the way he likes to play the game. He's very more English than any of them, John. And I think having won the European Cup with Milan twice in as many years, I think shows the quality of the man as a manager. And I think to have him as the national manager is a good move.
Well, a few months ago, we actually decided, we put down on pen and paper, who we thought might win what this season. So just, I'm not quite sure why, but we thought we'd have a look at it again anyway, just to see who was right and who was wrong.
It's nothing to do with you winning 3-1,
I can't understand why we're looking at that caption again, but anyway, Mario, I have to say, it was a very good shout of yours to go for Red Star Belgrade and the European Cup, but you'd seen them play Rangers, hadn't you?
Yes, I'd watched them play Rangers, and they were absolutely devastating, and I just thought they would do the business, and they proved to do so. Admittedly, it was a very poor final, they were very disappointing, but I have hastened to add that the 4 teams you see on the right under John were the only 4 teams you knew at that time of the year, and that's why you've pumped for them.
I think that's an extremely unfair comment, but still, what are we mentioning? Manchester United here winning the European Cup Winners' Cup, and that was no mean achievement with English clubs back in Europe for the first season.
I think it's a wonderful achievement, John. We'd all waited to get back in. We wondered whether Europe had missed us. We wondered whether we could win a trophy so early on, and Alex Ferguson's boys proved that we could, and it was a magnificent achievement, and one we all enjoyed.
Now, you've got one or two of your own awards you'd like to mention.
I have, yes. I mean, it was just a little bit of fun again we've had at the end of the season, and my own little awards go as such. The team of the season, well, there was no surprise there. That was Sampdoria, for obvious reasons. Winning the title for the first time in their history wins them that one. And then we plumped for manager. This may surprise a few. My manager of the season is Emiliano Mondonico from Torino, because they've excited me this year, John, and with players like Martin Vasquez, Policano, Lentini and Bresciani all there, I think their future is very, very rosy, and I've been impressed with him. That was his first season, and to take them to 5th in the league was no mean feat after promotion last year. My player of the season, I don't think this will surprise anyone, Gianluca Vialli from Sampdoria, again for obvious reasons. This may surprise a few, but Thomas Scuravi, his first season at Genoa, 15 goals, as you said, none a penalty, no penalties at all. I think deserves it totally. This again, I think, speaks for itself. It's match of the season, the Inter-Sampdoria classic in the San Siro. A tie that one game that we could have forever, I think. And last, my most improved team goes to little Parma, who hit the big time, came up and proved us all wrong and stayed there, and have now got a place in Europe. A fine reward for an excellent season.
OK, Andy, well, thank you too for an excellent season. I've got a few awards I'd like to make. Crowd of the season, definitely Sampdoria. They sing things like "For He's a Jolly Good Fellow," the Banana Split song, not often we hear that on the terraces these days, and Yellow Submarine. Histrionics of the season definitely go to Walter Zenga. And the dog of the season is the one who just stands by the corner flag at Sampdoria's ground there. He's an awful lot, and I'm sure he's been instrumental in their championship this season. And actually, we keep saying this is our last programme of the season. We said it last week, and we're sort of saying it tonight, but it's not, because by way of an added bonus, next Tuesday night, that's a week tomorrow, we'll be showing you the second leg of the Italian Cup final between Roma and Sampdoria. Roma are 3-1 up from the first leg at the Olympic Stadium. Sampdoria perhaps a little jaded after a long season, but they'll still be desperately keen to do the league and cup double. But whatever happens in Genoa, it has undoubtedly been their season. A team of style, of finesse, of panache and of flair, and of no little humour, and you have to say it, they are deservedly the champions of Italian football.
Vialli. Oh yes, Vialli scores.
Oh, brilliantly saved by Pagliuca.
Surely, a chance, and it's there. Björkebond has scored.
Grown men, hardened football watchers, are scarcely able to turn their eyes to this, and surely it's two this time. It is! The somersault of celebration from Gianluca Vialli. Dossena takes the corner, Zanico saw it a little late,